So let me tell you a little bit about how we tried to get justice through the legal system. So first of all, we didn't want to do this in Thailand because it's a third world country and we just didn't want to deal with that. So we called the Australian police, but as soon as they heard that it happened in Thailand, they said we have to report it in Thailand. So what we decided to do was to sue Harley for defamation instead, because that we could still do in Australia. So we get the lawsuit started and we wait for Harley to get back to Australia, but he doesn't go back. He hides out in Thailand. So what we decide to do after a while is to just say, screw it, we're just gonna move it to Thailand. We're not gonna let this guy get away with this. So we contact the New Zealand embassy and they recommend a lawyer and we start the whole lawsuit there. And when we start to get the lawsuit running, of course, Harley flees the country. Now that we already were in Thailand, we decided to report the rape too. And this is how incompetent the Thai police were. When we were at the police station, they were like obsessed with this recording that Harley had mentioned several times. So the police actually made Hannah contact her rapist to get him to send the recording to her. But of course he didn't. But without the recording, the police couldn't, we could go through with it, but it would be a very uncertain outcome. And we also talked to them about how the process were, and it was like Hannah had to tell the whole thing in front of 5 policemen or something. It was just a mess. And also my visa was running out, so I had to leave Thailand, and Hannah didn't want to do this alone, and it was just a mess. So what we decided to do is to move the lawsuit back to Australia. So we contact the same lawyer first, but she had moved firm, so she couldn't take our case anymore. So we find a lawyer that had dealt with Harley before, and he basically advised us not to sue. As he said, Harley didn't really have much. He had a few bikes and a shitty apartment, and it wasn't really much he could offer us. So the lawsuit would most likely just be a big loss for us. And that's when I decided to create the Unmasking series, because I'm not gonna let Harley get away with this. As you may know, we started a fundraiser, and because people donated, I think they deserve to know what happened with the lawsuits. And if they want, we've spent the money, but if they want a refund, I'll be happy to refund them, because we promised to take him to court, but we couldn't, and I'm a man of my word. So let me just prove that this was real. I'm just gonna go through the emails quickly. You can pause and read them if you want. First, you can see we contacted NetSafe, then we contacted the police. We had already talked with them over the phone, so we were only asking about defamation in the emails. As you can see in this email, we always tried to go with this lawyer that we knew had experience with Harley from before. And here's just the rest of the email from the associate. Here's another email with some more information. Here you can see the lawyer telling us that the fundraiser video we made can be used against us, and that's why we took it down. And here you can see Hannah saying that she put the video on private. And here's more proof that Harley was staying out of the country, saying that we don't have to pay anything until he's back, because they can't do anything until he's back.
So if you want to fucking take me to fucking court, fucking take me to court. And motherfuckers can take me to court, and I'll gladly turn up. Any court, any motherfucking time.
So if someone wants to sue me, or put on bogus charges or whatever, I don't turn up a lawyer. I turn up with my truth.
No, he won't. He won't turn up at all. He's all bark and no bite. It's weird because he makes some videos where he's all like, I'll gladly turn up. But in other videos again, he's saying that he's gonna make every lawsuit so expensive, and he's just gonna tell the lawyers that he lost the papers and stuff. So he's saying two opposite things at the same time.
I will make that lawyer's life so good, because I'll be able to extract as much money as possible just by saying, hey look, can you please send me the paperwork again? I lost it. I know you sent those big files all the way to Australia and it cost you thousands of dollars, but I lost it, could you send them again? And the lawyers go, yeah, no worries, because the lawyers want to make more money. And so that's what I've done before with situations like that. And it just racks up massive bills for anyone who wants to fucking go head to head with Durianrider.
It's kind of like how he said that the lawsuit was fake, but also complaining about our lawsuit.
I've got a gold digger from New Zealand right now trying to get money out of me. Just a fucking gold digger, scheming, slimy scumbag. Someone sends me a link, they're like, they're fucking asking for $15,000 US to take Durianrider to fucking court because of something Durianrider said to defend his name against allegations of fucking craziness.
But the most ridiculous thing is that while he is avoiding our lawsuit, he's claiming that we're running away from his lawsuit. Projection much? Here you can see the lawyer telling us that his publications do contain defamatory statements. Here's an email from the New Zealand embassy after we have talked to them on the phone. Here's their recommendation for a Thai lawyer. Here's some advice on filing sexual assault charges. And here's emails between Hannah and the Thai lawyer. Here's some more emails. I think it's clear that this is real now. Here you can see we had to go to Bangkok to meet with the lawyer and the police. So it's not just the lawsuit itself that cost money. We have to travel, and we have to live in a hotel and go back and forth from the law office, and so the expenses added up, and we spent a lot more than the $500 we got from the fundraiser. Yet the vegan YouTube community accused us of scamming. Another email about how we're going to Bangkok, emails about meeting with the embassy, a follow-up after the meeting. And here's some footage of Hannah's lawyers and Hannah talking to the police. I think it's pretty clear that this is real. The fact that we have to prove this at all, I think that says everything you need to know about the vegan YouTube community. And here you can actually see that Harley's messages are printed out. And this is where I got Hannah to ask Harley to send the recordings that he has used as blackmail. But of course he didn't do that. Here you can see we're giving up on pursuing legal actions in Thailand. And here's the email where we got back in touch with the lawyer we had in Australia. And as I said, she couldn't take our case anymore because of her new firm. So we contacted the lawyer that we initially wanted to go with again, as you can see here. But as he advised us not to pursue it, we reported him to Acorn and continued with the unmasking. So as you can see, we've done pretty much everything we can to get justice through the legal system. People are just so ignorant to the bureaucratic mess you have to go through when dealing with multiple countries and nationalities. A good example of this is Martine, a Norwegian girl who was raped and murdered in London. Coincidentally, the main suspect left the country the morning after. They tend to do that, don't they? Martine's father has worked full-time for over a decade to get justice for his daughter. Multiple ministers of foreign affairs have been involved, the case has gotten coverage by several mainstream outlets, documentaries have been made, even the people of Yemen, the suspect's home country, have protested. Still, justice has not been served. Hannah and I are not gonna spend 10 years of our lives to try to get justice through the legal system when that would rob us of enjoying our own lives together. And we've now flipped the situation around anyway. If you really believe that we're falsely accusing Harley of rape and that I've somehow fabricated all of this evidence, instead of asking us why we don't report him, ask Harley why he doesn't sue us. This would be serious defamation if it wasn't true. Actions speak louder than words. And again, we've done everything in our power to solve this legally. Do you think it's a coincidence that Harley commits his crimes in Thailand? He even encourages criminals to go there.
You have a criminal record against my name. Come to Thailand, bro. Come to Thailand, you know.
I'm amazed that anyone would think that I would spend 2 years of my life on this if he wasn't a rapist. Not to mention that I would stay with a girl who would lie about this kind of thing. And despite our efforts to solve this behind closed doors, we're also being accused of doing this for social media attention. Who would want social media attention for this kind of thing? The only reason I want my videos to get attention is so people, especially vulnerable young women, can be warned. Remember that Hannah didn't have any warning. Back in 2015, everyone said that Harley was such a great guy. And those who said he wasn't was silenced, just as he has tried to silence me. I've exposed a narcissist and a criminal and cleared my girlfriend's name, and vegan YouTubers are accusing me of wanting social media attention. It's so disgraceful, but that's the vegan YouTube community for you. This is the kind of stupidity you have to deal with when going up against Harley. He has really managed to attract the most gullible enablers you can think of. As Hannah said earlier, she didn't want to share her story, and Harley knows this. That's what he's counting on. And that's exactly why I did the exact opposite of what he was counting on. I gave him several warnings that they would blow this thing wide open if he kept running away from being legally held accountable. Trust me, I didn't want to spend 2 years of my life on this loser. But what choice did I have when he was constantly spreading lies about my girlfriend? Would you let a rapist get away with that? My sense of justice is just too strong for that. Let me repeat once again that he has made over 500 pages worth of slander about both of us. That's the 500 pages I know of. There's probably another 500 pages I don't know about. And a big portion of that was made after Hannah's initial video without any response. But he has not been alone in doing this. Many other vegan YouTubers have participated. Most of them have now silently deleted their part in it. But there are still some people who continue, even in 2018. Just a couple of months ago, yet another parody was made about Hannah's situation. That's the third parody of her. How much harassment and public ridicule are we supposed to tolerate from the vegan YouTube community before we say enough is enough? Hannah left the platform almost 2 years ago and is still being made fun of, just because she stood up against an abuser. The saddest part about this is that this is exactly how Harley has gotten away with his crimes for so long. If Hannah's video had been taken seriously, if people didn't constantly put focus on her instead of the person she spoke up about, what happened to Josie could have been prevented. As you may know, I wanted to finish this video by naming and shaming those who named and shamed Hannah. But as you can see, this video is way too long already, and I'm just thinking, what's the point? Sure, it would give me some vindictive satisfaction, but these people are losers and they're a waste of time. My goal was to expose Harley, which I've done. I've done this at a massive personal sacrifice. It has not gotten me any closer to my dreams or goals. Hannah didn't even want me to do the unmasking. She knew it would only prolong a very painful time, which it has. Of course, it wouldn't only have been about some vindictive satisfaction. I also wanted to show just how bad Hannah was being cyberbullied by vegan YouTubers, because I don't think people really understand how bad it really was until they see it all put together. And don't forget that YouTube allowed this to continue. The vegan YouTube community is the most vile, toxic and disgusting community I've ever come across. So now I'll join the ever-increasing list of people who have left it and don't want to be associated with it. Lastly, I want to thank everyone who has supported us through this battle, especially those of you who supported Hannah after her initial video. I don't think you understand how much that meant to her, and I'd like to encourage everyone who sees this kind of cyberbullying to reach out to the person and give them support. As I said, I don't think you understand how much that means to the person in the situation. I also want to thank everyone who has contacted me about Harley and his wrongdoings, whether it was to share a personal story or to give me a tip about something else related to the unmasking series. Many of the things I've exposed has been because I've been informed about it. Like the frauds video started out with a tip I got about Harley plagiarizing other people's content. But now that the unmasking is concluded, my part in this is over. The worst thing you can do to a narcissist is to ignore him, and that's what Hannah has done for 2 years now. And it's time for me to join her. I just had to unmask him first. There'll probably be another 500 pages of slander about Hannah and I in the coming years, but that really says more about him than it does about us. The truth is now out there. If people choose to ignore it, that's on them. If anything, I hope that when Harley continues to attack people, instead of wasting their time on defending themselves, that they can just point to the unmasking series.
I have imagined this moment for so long. Is this real?